Hey Kawan, welcome to EDCReady. Today we are doing a first impressions of this. This is the Buck Knives 112, 112 Slim Select. Now this guy, I did not buy it new, I bought it second hand off my friend Shafiq here in the EDC Malaysia group. He also sold me this guy, the CJRB Ria. Do check out the disassembly maintenance and eventual review video of this guy. But today we are doing one of this guy. Now, it didn't come with its original packaging. It just came like this in a little plastic bag along with the CJRB Ria because I did buy it second hand. So please be known that if you see if you see grinding issues, maybe if it's not sharp or it's not grinded really well, whatever, that could be from his everyday use of this knife. So we need to keep that in mind. Another thing that took me by surprise when I took this out for the first time is, now I like disassembling knives, okay? All my knives are disassemblable. This is the first knife I have that's actually pinned. So there's a pin here, pin here, pin here, pin here. We have screws here for the pocket clip for you to flip it around, but I do not think I will be able to disassemble this knife. Most likely I'll just do a very simple maintenance. It is a backlock, so the only maintenance you really need to do is to add a little bit of oil into this groove right here, okay, and then just move it around here and there, and then you're good to go. Backlocks are really hard used. You do not need to worry about using a backlock at all. They are one of the strongest locking mechanisms and one of the easiest to maintain. Now, speaking of the backlock here is a rear backlock, which means that it's way far back in the end compared to a mid backlock, which is what Spyderco uses, somewhere in the middle here. We have a backlock in the rear here, and that just means you have a little bit extra leverage when you want to disengage the knife. Now, you do not want to engage this knife and flip it down, because with this backlock, all the way in the back, this blade will actually go all the way down onto your fingers, like it has happened to me so many times with the rustic gent, which is one of the reasons why the rustic gent is not in my collection anymore, compared to this guy, which has the nice little finger choil, and then you can also just grab it like that. It'll land like that on your finger, keeping your fingers nice and safe. Blade steel here, I do not know what this blade steel is, but knowing Buck, it might be 420HC, and Buck does a really good job with its 420HC in terms of the heat treat. Buck is an American company. It's one of the oldest knife making companies to my understanding, and this guy is definitely made in the USA. It's part of their budget line, being the Slim Select line. You have FRN scales, you have more of a budget steel, it is a backlock. This is one of these old school nostalgic knife designs. This knife design has really been around for a really long time, and Buck's one of those companies that kind of try to maintain that kind of tradition, that kind of nostalgia. Speaking of which, Buck has a nice little logo. You can see it imprinted in the FRN. The FRN is nice. It is not as slippery as the Para 3 lightweight. So Spyderco's FRN to me can kind of be a little bit slippery at times. This is nice and textured, not just in terms of its textured design, but the actual finish itself is nice and grippy. Actually very similar to the Benchmade Bug Up, where you have this kind of like texturing on the actual surface of the FRN, which is very, very nice. It has a deep carry pocket clip, which I do appreciate. It does stick out a little bit, but it's not really that bad. 2 clip screws to hold it in. You have a nice, this is not an anvil, this is, I believe, Texas. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is most likely Texas. But you have this nice little small but very fat clip. In terms of its retention, it feels great. Once I get it in the pocket, I might like it a little bit better. Wait for the full disassembly for that. But I can definitely get my full finger inside of here. It is not sharp like, where is that guy? Where are you? No, you're not there. You're not there. Where is that guy? Oh, there we go. Like this guy. The Fermford Stinger, this little pocket clip right here, you can get your finger under it, but it's a little bit uncomfortable because this little pocket clip right here, it's a little bit sharp for my personal liking, but I do still find it useful. It's still a very good pocket clip. This guy you can get underneath the pocket clip a lot easier because you have a lot more surface area that doesn't dig into your fingers. Alright, in terms of deployment, it's very difficult to flick this guy open. There we go. You really need a lot of wrist flick to flick this guy open. In terms of closing, it is definitely a rougher knife because of the spring and then the lock bar on the tang of the blade. So it's going to be not really rough. It's relatively smooth. It's just relatively hard, and there's no way I can flick this open with my middle finger in the back there. But you can flip this clip around, and then you can do it with your left hand, no problem. Completely ambidextrous knife. The inside of here is a little bit sharp, as with any other FRN scaled handles. We have some nice rounding of the edges here and some nice texturing as well, which I already mentioned. All in all, first impressions are it is I'm not that big of a fan of it. It has a lack of the fidgetability factor, which I really like. I'm not a fan of this blade shape, especially this little recurve there. Yes, it does look a little bit more old school, but I find that this kind of recurve kind of just takes away more usable blade edge for my personal everyday use. Another thing is that you have this little bump up here. Don't know if you guys can see that. I do not know why that needs to be there. It doesn't really have any purpose. No jimping on the blade. I would love this knife if it had a little bit more jimping up in here for a little bit more grip. Not that this lacks any grip. It's just that it would be nice to be able to dig your thumb into the back of the blade for you to do any kind of carving or wilting or whatever. Okay guys, that is my first impressions of this guy. Do check out the full review, which will come out in sometime in February, while I carry this guy trying to find out what I like and what I don't like about it. Okay guys, thank you, and as always, stay ready.